Hey guys, it's me, Keisha, and I am here with this week's All Tea, All Shade, Real Housewives of Miami, Season 7, Episode 4 review. In this week's episode, we started off with Julia taking singing lessons because she's determined to be an opera singer, and you can barely speak English. You can't sing, ma'am. Like, please stop. Please. 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 We don't want to hear it. We don't need to be subjected to it. Then this weirdo get to crying and crap and spilling everything to her teacher, who looking at her like, I could care less, talking about she's upset because somebody brought up her trying to sing opera, talking about Gertie, because you're making a fool out of yourself and you're wasting time and money. And then gonna say there was an incident and water went everywhere. And I'm like, you see how she just skips over everything? How did the water go everywhere, Julia? Did a cup just get up and teleport in the air and spill everywhere? No, heifer, you threw water on this grown woman like an unhinged beast. And if nothing else about this week's episode, it showed me that this heifer is a habitual liar and she's a weirdo. And I will never, ever, 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 ever in life see it for her. Ever again. Gertie and Russell at the crib. She's decorated the house for Halloween. She's much like myself. She loves a theme. I cannot wait because this year I'm going to bring my Halloween party back and I'm so excited and I just can't hide it. But anywho, her and Russell sit down and she was like, aren't you happy to see me back doing what I love to do? Because you know what just happened. And Russell was like, that picture in my head of this big woman, when he said this big woman, y'all, I cackled. He said this big woman, this tall woman standing over you is upsetting. And he's 1000% right. But I don't care if Julia was 4'11". The fact that you had the nerve and the audacity to stand up, period, and then be pointing your finger in this woman's face because of what? It didn't even warrant all of that. She was doing the most. You never were Gertie's friend. You give me racist vibes now. It's given you've been feeling this way for the longest, because no way could you call this woman your best friend at some point and then have the nerve to disrespect her in such a way, because you would never do that to any of these other girls on this show. You would never in a million years do that, because Alexia done cussed your ass out and everything else Marysol has, and you ain't never, ever, 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 ever. That was so rude and disrespectful. And Gertie, you better not ever give her the time of day ever again in your life. I don't care if she apologizes until the moon turns blue. No, we do not see it for her at all. But it was Gertie fake crying for me. I gotta keep it a buck. My girl pulled out them white woman tears, honey. She told me something. She violated me, Russell. She violated me. And I can't believe that she did that. Like, what did I do to deserve that? She violated me. She violated me, and I just can't believe that she would do something like that to me. Baby, because y'all know I call out the white girls when they get the fake crying. So I'm going to call Gertie out too, because she was fake crying. But the reason why I don't care is because if they can do it, we can do it. And we going to milk this for everything we can. Give us all the fake tears to make Julia look even worse. So I applaud you. Yes, ma'am. So then we get Julia and her old rickety ass wife, Martina, who I don't like either. She give me racist vibes too now. Like, I don't see it for them. They go shopping or whatever, grocery shopping, and she gonna tell Martina that she ruined Marysol's wedding event. She owes her dinner, and I shouldn't have thrown water on anyone. You more concerned about Marysol's feelings over the fact that you assaulted this woman, but you're more concerned about Marysol? Then in her confession, she gonna say, I feel embarrassed in front of Marysol in allowing Gertie to get the best of me. How did you mad because Gertie got you together with her words and you couldn't handle it because she was telling the truth and spilling the tea on your ass, and you couldn't handle it because at the end of the day, you know what you're doing is a bunch of bullshit, and you couldn't fight back with your words, so you decided to act like a goddamn banshee? Girl, fuck you. Oh, fuck you. I hope ICE come get your ass. So they flash back to Marysol, Alexia, and Julia all sitting down talking, and Marysol told Julia, like, the throwing of the glass and all of that was too much. Like, it was too much. Basically telling her what she did was wrong. So Julia says to Martina, I feel like Gertie decided to wage war on our family. How, Sway? How? What has she done to you? You have been the one that has attacked her, and flipped on her. But you flipping everything and trying to create this narrative that Gertie is the big bad wolf. And that's the furthest thing from the truth. And Martina even admits, because here she is trying to paint this narrative once again, Julia, she's talking about, I went and had a facelift when I went to Paris to visit Emma, talking about her daughter. And they show a picture of her in Paris with her daughter. But Martina didn't play along and was like, yeah, you did go, and if I needed you, you would be on the next plane back. And, I knew that I would be safe or whatever. You did go and get a facelift, girl. You did. And the fact, once again, I don't care if she said that she could handle it or not. Who goes to a whole nother country to get work done that is elective when their wife is going through chemo? Girl, bye. But then here go Martina. But, she doesn't know everything, but she's still attacking. But that's her form, isn't it? She likes to attack. You ain't never liked Gertie neither. Because y'all think so horribly of somebody that y'all once considered a good friend, that y'all talking about her like this. And my big thing is, now that they're watching the show, and Martina, now that you're seeing that your wife is a sociopath and has been lying and giving bits of truth here and there, but the rest of it is all lies. How do you feel now that to know that your wife been lying this whole time and making this lady out to be this horrible person when it's actually the opposite? Because you owe Gertie a huge apology. I understand you gonna have your wife back because you got to believe what your wife telling you. But now that you see that your wife is lying, be an adult, stand on business, and apologize to that lady. I will still never fuck with you again, but I hope you looking at your wife sideways like, what the fuck was you over here doing? And now what the hell you done got me caught up in? Because I know just as well as they eating Julia up on her Instagram and social media platforms, I know they eating yo crypt keeper ass looking ass up too. Oh, I don't like them heifers now. I do not like them ever. No. Then she gonna talking about how she texts Gertie apologizing and talking, but she hasn't responded back. What makes you think that she would respond back after the way you did her? Are you stupid? Are you conscious, hoe? You better be glad you wasn't blocked. You better be glad she ain't pressed charges against you. Cause you, girl, please, the audacity. Then Adriana is on the phone because Adriana is throwing her a baby shower, and she gonna say, if Gertie can control herself, she's invited to the baby shower. Can you control yourself? Like, this episode, like I said, showed me that Julia is a liar. She's a weirdo. And it also proved something else to me, but I'm going to talk about that in a second. So, Larsa is on a PJ with newcomer Stephanie, who we finally get to meet. And they're on a private plane to go to Orlando, Florida to pick up her dogs from her parents. That's how rich she and her husband are. I ain't mad at you, girl. Her husband has the third biggest selling real estate firm in Orlando or Florida or whatever. He got paper. She looks like she's a trophy wife that may work for him now or have started a business of her own. I don't know. I really didn't know how to feel about Stephanie. Her face was very odd looking, and the whole time I'm looking at her like she reminds me of somebody. But I couldn't pinpoint it until the end of the episode. But as I was looking at her, she's not an ugly woman by far. She's a cute girl, but she got a pie face. But like I said, she reminded me of somebody, and I'm gonna tell y'all at the end of this review. But Marysol ends up FaceTiming Larsa to say that Alexia and Todd are extending their divorce because neither one of them are ready to go through with the actual divorce. Now, we know that they eventually did end up divorcing. So Larsa and Marysol just shaking their head like, Lord, my friend's so dumb. Like, oh, Lord, help of Jesus, help of Jesus. But as far as Stephanie goes, I was already side-eyeing her knowing that she was friends with Larsa, because anybody that's friends with Larsa, I gotta look at sideways. Like, you gotta be the devil's spawn. So I was already a little apprehensive about sis. Marysol and Alexia visit Lisa at her crib. Because, Lisa's father passed away. She's back in town. They go over there and bring her flowers and everything. And Marysol tells Lisa how Larsa said Jody was amped up that last night in Paris and acting crazy and yelling and all types of stuff, and how Lisa was telling him to stop talking to her like that and all of this stuff. And Lisa was like, she is a liar. That did not happen. She was like, it did not happen like that. She was like, at the end of the day, while I'm sitting up here burying my father, she should have been worried about, what I'm going through instead of talking about me, which is true. That's true tea. Y'all was supposed to be close friends at one point. Regardless of what we going through, I just suffered a loss. Instead of you sitting up here dogging me, I would think that you would be more concerned about what I'm going through. And she was like, she was so pissed off and wanted to show her what she was actually going through that she sent her a photograph of her father in his coffin, which was a lot. It was a lot. That was a lot. That was a lot. You know what I'm saying? But, yeah, I don't know if I would have done that. I think that I would have picked up the phone and probably called her and cussed her the fuck out. But hey, to each his own. Where was I? Yeah. Larsa, little gay friend over in Paris, FaceTimes her, and they get to talking about the Jody situation, and he reiterates what Larsa was telling the girls, how Jody was acting a fool and yelling and carrying on, and that he had to step in and tell Jody, you can't talk to women like that, and that Lisa was telling him to stop, and all of this. Do I think that it could have happened? It might have. But at the end of the day, I'm always going to believe a lie coming out of Larsa's mouth before I believe that it's the truth. And that little fairy she was hanging around with, child, he give me stink vibes right along with her. So I don't even know if I believe nothing that's coming out of their mouth. So Larsa goes on to say that Jody is all on Lisa's business calls and he's a social climber and all of this stuff. Well, I don't agree with mixing business with pleasure. I just don't. It works very seldomly, you know. And with the way these men are moving nowadays, I don't want you nowhere near what I do. Nope, I'm all right. Let's keep it separate. But at the end of the day, he over there paying for her. He over there paying half that high ass rent. So I don't know. I don't know if he's a social climber or what. She like it. I love it. Lisa is grown. Hey. But Larsa is the last person to talk about anybody's man when you just got out of a relationship with this cokehead, Nepo baby. Sit down. Kiki and her beautiful daughter Summer go and pick her daddy up. I think his name is Larsa or something like that, who we know she's had a very estranged relationship with because when she was a teenager, he kicked her out of the house for modeling, and she basically had to grind and get it on her own, you know. And over the last couple of years, they've been trying to work on their relationship, and she looked just like her daddy, just like him. So they're in the car, and the father lets it be known that he only got one lady, because I guess he a hot commodity back in Haiti, okay? Because she told him that he need to come stay in Miami. He was like, nah, I'm going back home. I got my little lady, my old lady back there. I got to get back home. And she was like, oh, you only got one girlfriend? He was like, yeah, I only got one girlfriend. She gave me a son. And Kiki said, oh, what? And he was like, yeah, I got a son. He 3 years old. You got a 3-year-old little brother. And she was like, I know you lying. Huh? Yeah, daddy's still out there stroking. So she was like, how many kids do you got in total now? He was like 7. I said, child. Now, her little brother, who is her daughter's uncle, they like the same age. Girl, I can't. But Kiki ended up getting on her daddy for not, keeping up with her oldest son, her son, Shamar, who is in college. Daddy didn't even know the boy was in college, ain't seen him, ain't really reached out to him. And she doesn't like that. But I was like, people got to learn to stop expecting certain things from certain people. Like, if you barely got a relationship with him, what makes you think that he's going to have a relationship with your kid? Like, make it make sense. But hey, Larsa, Marysol, Julia, and newcomer Stephanie, they meet up for cocktails. And before she got there, Larsa tells the lady that Stephanie don't even like kids. Because they were wondering should they invite her to the baby shower. And she was like, she don't even like kids. She once told me Birkins and boogers don't go together. And I said, honey, put that on a t-shirt. I love it. Now, see, I like her little one-liners. I'm liking her one-liners. And I really do like her style. She has like this 60s Jackie O-esque style about her. I love her little flips. I love her 60s style, late 50s, early 60s style of dress. I'm loving her outfits. Loving it. But it still was just something about sis that I just wasn't really connecting with. But we learned that Stephanie met her husband when she was 26 and he was 50, honey. I ain't mad at you. Hey, to each his own. But, Larsa thinks she know her so well that she telling Julia that she don't like animals. And she was like, I love animals. I grew up in a farm in Colombia. Like, I had to, castrate chickens and all types of stuff. And she was like, she lived on a farm 3 months out of the year in Colombia. Like, but Larsa trying to make it seem like she knows so much about her and really got knocked down a peg or two. Because it was just like, she was trying to school Julia on what to say and what not to bring up around her. And actually, her and Julia ended up having a lot in common and hitting things off. Really shockingly. But we find out that her parents moved to the U.S. broke. I don't know if they ended up getting money or whatnot. But from what they showed us in this week's episode, it seems like all of her wealth comes from her husband. They showed her working in the office, but I don't know what she did. I don't know if she works for her husband, but it seems like her wealth obviously comes from her husband. Alexia still has not shown up, and so everybody's like, where is she at? Like, something gotta be wrong. And Stephanie makes it a point to mention that she hates tardy, that she hates people that are like late. That is a pet peeve of hers. So Alexia, after Marysol calls her and she doesn't answer, she texts Marysol saying that she don't feel well, she got a headache and she real anxious and stuff, and she just need a mental health day pretty much. And so Marysol was like, girl, she with Todd. And Larsa was like, I told you that's where she was. But Alexia later on swears she wasn't with that man. But hey. So at the end of the episode, it is baby shower day for Julia that Adriana is throwing for her, by the way. And Adriana says in her confessional that the night before, Julia texts this lady and asks that Stephanie be set next to her. And Adriana was like, I will sit her across from you, considering I'm your best friend and I'm throwing this for you. If anybody is a social climber, it is Julia. You just met this woman 5 seconds ago, and you got the nerve to ask Adriana to sit this woman next to you. And Adriana is the one throwing this event for you, who is supposed to be your best friend. You basically like, girl, fuck you. I got another one. I got a new friend over here. Baby, the baby shower would have been called off. Let Stephanie throw you one. Okay, how about that? That is the most disrespectful shit I've ever heard somebody do. And then when you saw the setup and how they were seated like in an L shape, it was Martina, Julia, and then it would have been Stephanie, and then I guess Adriana, Lisa, and so forth. What, girl, right then and there, the friendship would have been done. The friendship would have been so done. Julia ain't shit, yo. She ain't shit. Like, I cannot with her. So Alexia arrives and she talking about, I'm really stressed right now, which you attributed to talking to Adriana. And Adriana was like, girl, we not about to do that right now. Not today. Not today. Stephanie then has the nerve to say to Alexia, you know, can I tell you something without overstepping my boundaries about Todd? And she was like, sure, go ahead. When God takes out the garbage, you don't go back into the garbage and like go diving. I said, is this lady crazy? Now, y'all know I don't even like Alexia. I don't. But you just met... What? You don't say that to somebody that you don't know like that. Like, who are you, ma'am? Now you got me siding with Alexia. Oh, my God. Like... I would have told her little short ass, bitch, if you don't mind your motherfucking business, hoe, like, get the fuck out my face. Like, what? Wow. Like, that was bold AF. Lisa learns by happenstance that she wasn't invited to their little happy hour. And you could tell, like, she is pissed. Because it's like, y'all excluding me? Y'all leaving me out the group? Okay. Noted. So, the baby shower begins, and we see pictures of the boys, and they are black. Beautiful little black boys. Beautiful. But seeing what she did to Gertie and how she has been acting towards Gertie, my spirit won't allow me to feel comfortable with her parenting two black boys when you can be so audacious and disrespectful to assault a black woman. Because what are you teaching these little black boys? And then, like, what was you thinking? Or maybe you weren't thinking. Like, I don't know if Julia getting high, but did you consider the fact that this was going to be shown around the world to people, and then they were going to find out that you had adopted black boys? Lord Jesus, protect them kids. Protect them kids, because they give me, like I said, racist vibes. They just not the in your face type, but the undertones are so there now, and it's obvious like that they're not going to be able to raise these little boys in knowing their culture, the awareness that they need. I don't see her being a Angelina Jolie, like how Angelina Jolie raised her children to know their culture, be proud of their culture, be ingrained in their culture. I don't see her being like that with them black boys, nor Martina, who can barely stand up. Like, and y'all all old and shit. Y'all got these little bitty kids. Yeah, Julia can move around right about now, but by the time they get in high school, girl, you gonna be what? 70 years old? Like, did y'all think about that? Like, who gonna take care of these little boys? God forbid. Martina on her last leg, child. Girl, okay. After Adriana does her speech, Alexia asks to do a speech, and they get to pulling their dicks out and putting them on the table, trying to battle each other about who's closer to Julia. It was so pathetic. Alexia get up there lying, talking about, we started our friendship 3 years ago. Y'all started y'all friendship last season. Stop. You didn't even see it for her. Then they all sit down for dinner or lunch, and Lisa is sitting across from Stephanie, and she was like, hi, Stephanie. And you could tell like she had a couple of drinks, because during the game part of the baby shower, she was like sitting off to herself. Like, she really wasn't being involved in the conversation with the other girls who were down further. And you could tell like she felt like they being funny towards me, like they leaving me out, you know. And I felt bad for Lisa, but it seemed like she was tipsy. And she says to Stephanie, you know, I want to be friends with her, talking about Stephanie. I want to be friends with people who have jets and yachts. And I was like, Lisa, what? You don't say that to nobody. Oh my God, that was so pretentious and just materialistic. And, you know, Stephanie was rubbed the wrong way by that. But hell, we rubbed the wrong way about what you said to Alexia. So Lisa gonna turn to Kiki and say, am I drunk? And she was like, well, you are coming across a little tipsy now. So Stephanie ends up asking Larsa, is she okay? And she was like, yeah, I mean, it's just whoever going back and telling Lisa stuff is who she should be mad at, not me. And Alexia was like, but you were talking about her. So here go Julia deciding to add to the mess. I just want to ask one question. Who would admit that they told Lisa what happened that night at Marysol event? And Kiki said, really, Julia, you gonna start some mess at your own baby shower? But baby, Julia is all right out and about being a biz naive this season. Like, she ain't even trying to hide it. Like, no. So, Kiki tells them that at first she thought it was Marysol, but when she had one-on-one lunch with Gertie, that Gertie admitted that she was the one that told Lisa. So Larsa was like, but like, why would she do that? This, that, and the third. And Lisa was like, it don't matter who told me, because it really don't. Like, you act like she wasn't gonna find out about it. You act like it was a secret or something. Like, y'all just want another reason to have an issue with Gertie. So Larsa was like, but it does, because it's like a broken game of telephone. Lisa gets to crying and was like, what is wrong with y'all? Like, do y'all not realize my father just died? Like, can y'all like stop? She get to crying and stuff. I don't think she was crying for real, but hey. And was like, I just gotta go. I gotta go. And Stephanie just like, well, this was a welcome. And it was at that moment when I was looking at her and I said, She look like she and Miss Nikki baby could be sisters. That's who she look like. They got the same face shape that's kind of like egg-like, sunken in, kind of like features. Like, she just got better taste. Better taste. Her and Miss Nikki baby look like they come from the same gene pool. Yep. But yeah, I don't know how I feel about Stephanie. I ain't really vibing with sis so far. I like her style, but other than that, I don't know, Bernie. I don't know. I don't know. I feel bad for Gertie this season because she don't really have no backup for real. I think at some point, I think Adriana, of course, will have her back. And I think Lisa will to an extent. But other than that, she don't really have the support like she did when Nicole was on the show, because, you know, Nicole and her had each other's backs. And it's sad that I can't even say that Kiki would have her back, considering she's another woman of color, a black woman who is Haitian, just like Gertie. But she's been a letdown thus far, especially with the way that she handled last week's episode. Yeah, I'm disgusted. I just simply cannot. But yeah, I'm gonna give this week's episode of Miami an A. It was a good episode. It really honestly was. And I hate that Miami gets slept on so much, because Miami is one of the better housewives shows. But yeah, y'all, let me know what y'all thought about this week's episode. Please make sure to thumbs up this video, subscribe to my channel, and turn on your post notifications so you know my videos drop. I love you guys, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.